going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Chaos Zero Nightmare video. Today I want to talk about team compositions and help you guys maybe formulate and figure out where to start in terms of what characters or combatants work well together. The popular team compositions that I've seen really work well between a lot of the different characters, as well as what team I'm using and why I think it's so good. So thank you so much for tuning in, and if you guys want to just have somewhere to hang out, talk about all things Chaos Zero Nightmare, go ahead and check if I'm live both on YouTube and Twitch. If you're on YouTube right now watching this video, chances are I'm likely live, so just drop by, say hi, and you can even ask me additional questions. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. All right, y'all, so the team I've been rocking is Haru, Mika, and Cassius, and I really have been enjoying this for the past 2 days. Mika and Cassius especially, I think, provide an extremely powerful duo to enable damage dealers like Haru that are a little bit more greedy, and if you guys play characters like Kayron, who I know is a super popular pick, I think he works really well with this lineup as well. So I'll tell you about the strengths on that. However, I just recently hit level 30, like I said at the start of the video, so I need to craft a second team. So we're going to talk about my team, and I want to talk about the other team that I'm thinking about trying, as well as just talk about various combos that I've heard people talk about or say are really well, that I've seen gameplay for, and just, you know, synergies that maybe can help you guys depending on what you have. Figure out your own compositions and just get off the ground running with some good synergies from the get-go. Let's jump straight into my team lineup and I'll explain what I've been rocking. So this is the save data that I've been opting to use. I actually have a different one that has a different lineup with God Epiphanies. There's lots of the game which we will get into. I'll have a video for y'all every day, but we'll keep things basic for now. And I just want to show you guys what Haru is about. If you don't know what she does, she really just kind of like boomerangs cards back and forth, and the more cards she casts, they will do damage. You know, the more times she casts, like Anchor Shot here, if you guys can see, the more times she casts it, max at 5, it does more damage. And I was able to get a very nice epiphany for this that also applies agony for agony every time. So I am smashing these Anchor Shots left and right, and I'm also cycling them back and forth with units like Cassius to go ahead and find it, give me more draws, find it in my deck, as well as using Mika to just provide myself with enough AP to line this up. Now, additionally, I do also have her with some dupes. Now, this is not mandatory by any means, so don't worry, guys, if you have no dupes for Haru. But this C2, I guess we're just going to A2, C2, whatever you call it, dupe 2, Anchor Shot actually lets you cast this card even when you don't have 2 costs. And if you increase it by like 1 cost 2, you know, if there's ever a time it increases cost, you can always just cast this in general. You'll just take a bit of a damage hit. Now, I think this is very nice to kind of round out what cards you can play in a turn. And like I said, with how I play with this lineup, or excuse me, with the save data, my Anchor Shots, even if it's doing less damage, they will always apply that 4 agony. So I've actually been finding it extremely effective. So long story short, we just use Haru to pump out a ton of damage via the Anchor Shots. We find them with the Anchor Pointer, and then we do have a little bit of AoE too when you know, the time calls for it. So I think Haru is a very well-rounded and versatile unit that you can play as a sub DPS, as support. We'll talk about other Haru comps, but if you want to play her as your main damage dealer, I highly recommend trying for something similar to this. Just go for like all the Anchor Shots, find a very nice epiphany for it, have the Anchor Pointer, of course, so you can find more of those, and then have a little bit of AoE as backup. Now, this is very AP hungry, and you're not always going to get the cards you need, so that's where characters like Cassius are going to come in. And this is my save data for Cassius, and let me talk about him real quick if you haven't played. This guy is actually so much fun. I really encourage you guys to give him a shot if you have him on your account, if you're lucky enough to pull him, because 4 stars are actually kind of rare too. I know a lot of my chat never got Cassius yet, so your mileage may vary. But let's start with this, guys. Popeye Popper. This is a epiphany, so we were able to get this to cost 0. But essentially what this does is you try to find this as early as possible. You cast it, and it's an upgrade, so it's kind of persistent. And essentially, just by playing cards, you're gonna have different quests, like you can see here. Don't think on this too hard, guys, but as you know, you have different quests. Sometimes you'll have to cast a card from each character. Sometimes you'll have to cast different costs of cards, but essentially you get free stuff for doing this. So the earlier you get this going, think of Cassius as like a card drawing engine. So he just gets you so many card draws, and this is the other major skill, is Joker. A lot of times, if you just don't have a card you need, Joker will fill that spot, and you can find that exact card that will help you fix whatever the problem you are having. If you need more damage, if you need survivability, this is your guy, and he's going to find that for you, while also providing some insane value via the quests. And just look at how much draw he has built into his kit. He also does a lot of good damage. He has a little bit of healing, AoE, a lot to him. I just think he's so much fun, and I think he's actually really powerful. So give him a try if you haven't already. I think he really enables characters like Haru, characters like Kayron that are very greedy. And let's talk about the third character in this trio. We got Miko, who I don't even really need to explain this, guys. I think most players are rocking this character, arguably the strongest 4-star in the game. This character is an honorary 5-star in my opinion. She is so good. If you haven't already tried Mika somehow, guys, if you've been sleeping on this character, give her a shot. And I would try, you know, to get her some epiphanies as well. Look at this, the source of water. Some people don't like this because it exhausts, but I think 3 AP at 0 cost is absolutely incredible for tempo. So this only really suffers in long matches, but even then, you kind of just save it for big go turns. Things like the Whirlpool's okay, does AoE. I did get a lot of epiphanies for this. But source of water, I would say blessing of waves, the tactical analysis. And you even have, let's see, what's the other good ones? I do have a neutral card here. We're not going to talk about that because you guys may not have access to it. But things like Deluge as well. Anything with Wave, if you guys aren't aware, if you have some Manifest Ego for this character, she does actually start with more Wave effects. And waves essentially will give you more AP. So not only do some of the cards give AP, but all the wave effects as well will grant some AP on top of that too. So think of her just like as a healer, a very, very strong healer that also gives you a lot of resources in terms of the AP which you need to cast your cards, right? So incredible combo between the draw power engine of Cassius, who will draw all the cards that you will ever need. This is your battery that gives you the AP required, and then you just spam cards like crazy with units like Haru or units like Kayron. So this is my absolute favorite setup so far, and I have been finding it really, really fun. Dupes obviously help it, but as you guys can see here, I don't even have dupes yet for Cassius, and once I get these, his first 2 dupes are incredible. Healing, and then you can actually add graveyard to that Joker card I told you all about, where you can find a specific card, not only now in your deck, but even stuff you already casted, which is really nice for Haru, because then I can even just spam more and more of those very nice anchor shots, right? So that's just one lineup. That's what I've been enjoying. But if you guys want to try that out, give it a shot if you want to use it as your main DPS. One other side note, guys, if you do plan to use Haru as a main DPS, I would highly recommend to try and get her partner card, Asteria. This thing is just really good, and the nice thing is you don't really need to max it out. It doesn't give you additional abilities like what do you call it, the dupes for the characters themselves. Instead, it'll just give more stats. While those are nice, if you're more on the free-to-play or light spender end, you know, you don't need to get more copies. Even at base level, the Light of Arc, the 2 EP cost, what is this called? Epiphany, the 2 EP cost for the ultimate is very nice. It just gives you a ton of damage at a low cost, and then the card Striker additional effect as well really aligns with what Haru wants to do. Now I do need a second team, and this is where we're going to talk about what I'm thinking about, as well as other very good team comps that I've heard work extremely well. So hopefully you guys can figure that out. Now unfortunately, I haven't gone in and tested these myself. However, I can kind of vouch for a lot of them, as I've seen lots of reports, as well as, you know, I've just been playing this game nonstop and talking with other players, and their team compositions that they've shown me in terms of what they've accomplished work really well. So even though I haven't done it myself, I can vouch for a lot of these team compositions we're going to talk about here in just a second. But I do need a second team because, once again, guys, if you get to level 30 anytime soon, you will be needing a second team, which is very important. So don't even think of just one team. Start planning for 2 total teams to start off with, because you're going to need to do this mode, Basin of Hyperspace, where you'll need, as you guys can see here, a main team as well as a secondary team. So we're going to need multiple team comps. Let's go ahead and talk about what else you can rock here depending on what you have. Let's go ahead and just start with what I'm thinking of. I was lucky enough to pull a lot of the different 5-stars. However, some of them I like more than others, and I actually haven't been vibing too much with Renoa. However, those of you that do like this character, I've seen her pull off some insane stuff, and I do think she's a very solid character. In fact, guys, I would say almost every 5-star in the game right now is extremely viable. That's the beauty of Chaos Zero Nightmare. Almost all characters are viable. It's just some team compositions don't really work well together. Like Haru, or sorry, not really Haru, but Kayron, for example, really wants a greedy team that feeds him a lot of resources. So things like Mika, Cassius work well with them. Haru also really wants a lot of resources too if you play her as a primary DPS. So just keep that in mind, guys. All characters are viable, but team comps aren't all viable together. Some of them aren't very inefficient, or sorry, aren't very synergistic, and you really want to understand how to create those. And I'm going to give you guys some at least base level ideas so you can get started. Now, I do think characters like Luke, if you saw on Pride Win, is being rated kind of low. I don't know about all that because I don't really plan to play him ever. But I do know he is a crit scaling monster, like I said in the reroll video. So those of you that like Luke, don't feel discouraged if you see people say he's bad. I think he's going to just take some time. And once our gear improves at level 25, you unlock modules or gearing that gives you crit chance and things like that. And as we just scale him up, I think he will be very strong later on. Anyways, just understand that team comps are more important than individual characters. Don't pay attention to tier lists too hard. Every character is very viable, and the 4 stars are incredibly strong too. So my second team that I think I'm going to rock, guys, is Calliope, and there's not really too much to say about this character. She's incredible. She was toned down a lot, so now she really is more of a tank rather than a character that does it all. But she still does very good damage, and she provides a lot of survivability for our team. We're going to rock her with someone like Mei Lin. Now, Mei Lin, I don't have a lot of experience with. Didn't play her on the beta, but I've been hearing people say she is the strongest 5-star at the moment. And the epiphanies and card combos that I've seen people show me in my chat has been crazy. I really believe it. I do think she is out of the box the strongest character. That doesn't mean too much. Like I said, it's really about team compositions. But if you are a owner of Mei Lin, guys, I encourage y'all to at least look into using her as your primary or secondary team, as right now I think she is extremely, extremely powerful. So Mei Lin will be our damage dealer alongside Calliope. We're gonna have a lot of survivability, and since we're using Mika already on our main team, I think everybody should have a Mika in your main or secondary team, as she's just that incredible. I think she's overpowered at the moment even. I think our next lineup will be someone like Nia. Nia is a character that was toned down a lot on the beta. I think in the beta she was almost rivaling the power levels of Mika, but she has been toned down a bit. She's still extremely good, and I've seen her be used to great effect still right now, even in her post-changed form. But she will be my secondary kind of controller, the support that will enable my team via, the dual attacks, or sorry, not dual attacks really, but, you draw the cards at the top of your deck. She has some healing, and she'll have some draw effect as well, right? She's our support unit that we'll use with Calliope and what's her name? Calliope and Mei Lin, excuse me. So just damage dealers, a tank, and a support unit, right? That's just a very synergistic combo that we just use characters that are powerful out of the box. Not too much synergy in terms of specific combos. We just run very powerful characters, a strong support, a strong tank that does damage too, and then Mei Lin, arguably one of the strongest strikers or damage dealers in the game at the moment. That's just one example, guys. I think other examples, and I'm gonna actually have to pull up, can I see all the characters in the game? You know what, let's go through this list. It's easier for me to show y'all here. That way I can talk about characters that I don't even own. We'll just look at this rescue merit right now. I think other lineups, guys, that are very strong that I've heard, if you are a Rin fan, right? A single target monster. The way Rin works is she just wants to dump a lot of cards and be in that, her sword modes. She's actually rocking really well with Hugo. Now, this is a lineup that I actually didn't think was great when I just looked at it. A lot of players were asking me if it was good, and I was like, be careful because you don't have a lot of AoE. However, Hugo and Rin synergize so well with the way Hugo works with his card lineups, his hunt abilities. He just kind of stacks off of how Rin wants to operate, and those are the kind of synergies I'm talking about that are just really good. Now, you may not have AoE, but you're so powerful that I think sometimes you can brute force your way through a lot of the content, at least right now. I don't know how strong things are going to scale later on. Especially as you get into the deep trauma modes. But right now, I've been hearing reports that Hugo Rin is an extremely powerful combo. And once again, just line that up with someone like Mika, maybe Nia, and you're good to go, right? So a lot of times you're just going to have that Mika support and then just have 2 very strong 5 stars. Sometimes we'll rock 2 4 stars, but in general, we're going to go for very synergistic combos. Some other combos, guys, is like Orlia and Beryl. Orlia is a unique character that you really want to make sure. Let's just talk about this real quick. Kayron and Orlia are characters that are very polarizing, meaning they're not like what I described with Calliope and Mei Lin, the second team I'm going to rock, right? These 2 characters can kind of run with almost anybody, as they're very just strong standalone. They synergize. You don't need a lot of synergistic abilities. You just have powerful characters that really work in general. Characters like Orlia and Kayron are a little bit more specific in what they want to do. Kayron with all his exhaust, very greedy nature, and then Orlia wants to hold onto her cards. They're actually like anti-synergistic, so make sure you understand where you're going. So characters like Orlia really wants a character like Beryl to run with her, and then like I said, Kayron wants to run with characters that can sort of support his greedy draw engine. So characters like Cassius and Mika AP. Mika for everybody. Cassius is also probably can work with everybody too. So we talked about like Rin, Hugo, Orlia with Beryl, Kayron with characters like Mika and Cassius. I think some other combos, guys, could be things like Magna with a counter setup with maybe we go Magna with Maribel. And I was even thinking of things like Magna, Maribel, or Magna plus, what's her name? I think it's Amir, right? You have defense scalers that have a lot of armor. And then we have, you know, ways to cheese out the celestial mechanics. Overall, though, guys, I think no matter what, just have a support like Mika in your lineup. You have cool combos like Rin and Hugo. Just understand how they work together. Or Leah Beryl. You want to run defense scalers together. I think things like Calipe Magna could be insane too. Calipe Magna and Maribel is something I wanted to try, as I think if you have enough defense and shields, you don't even need healing. Your mileage may vary, but I think it is a viable strategy. And then I think characters that are strong standalone like Maylin and Calipe, just stack them with a support and you're good to go. All right. So hopefully that helps you guys at least start out. Unfortunately, I don't have enough info on Veronica just yet, but I heard she's a very good sub DPS or sub support unit that can also fit into a lot of compositions. As for Luke, guys, I don't know. I don't play a lot of Luke, but I think like Luke Calipe, as long as you're feeding Luke a lot of crit chance and let him shine as the main damage dealer, I think you'll be fine as well. So let me know any team compositions that you guys are going to try out. Start planning to have 2 team comps. And in general, remember, play your favorite characters. Just understand how the team compositions work. Not every character can work together, but every character is viable. And don't sleep on the 4 stars. Mika, Nia, Cassius, a lot of the 4 stars are extremely strong and very viable, especially if you have a lot of dupes. So check how many dupes you have for them, and some of them are insanely powerful, even stronger than base level 5 stars. Anyways, I'll catch you all in the next one, guys. Check if I'm live. Come say hi, hang out, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, everybody.